In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above?
Hey everybody, today is a somewhat special day because I posted my first video on TrueSight a year ago, and it just so happens that around the time I made the Can You Play D&D in Berserk video, I was working on a Berserk D&D game for Roll20. I'm going to cut to the chase. I want you to come play Berserk D&D with me. Now, there's only limited spots available, and it's on Roll20. If you don't like Roll20, this is probably not going to be for you. If you don't like Berserk, this is probably not going to be for you. And if you don't like 5th edition D&D, well, this is not going to be for you. But I do want to talk about my ideas for it anyway, because as always, the reason why my channel is here, the reason why I want to share my professional DM experience is so that you can steal my good ideas or find disagreements with me and through that make your own games better. So let me show you what I have going on for my Berserk D&D idea, and you might look around and decide you want to play, and in that case I'm going to put the link for the looking for group posting down below. And if you just decide that this is a cool idea and you want to go out and play on your own, that's fantastic. Tell me in the comments what ideas you want to take away and use, because what would be even better than me having a really great Berserk D&D game is if I heard that 5 or 6 other Berserk D&D games or Berserk Warhammer games, as multiple people have told me that, Mud and Blood and Dirt game is probably better for Berserk than D&D, and honestly, I don't think I disagree. D&D is what I know, it's the resources that I have available on Roll20, and it's what I'm going to run. I already have the first scenario set up, and I already have 4 kind of starting pitches. Now, the first pitch has to do with being in Gambino's company. The causality for the pitch is, how does this relate to the story already established in Kentaro Miura's Berserk manga? In this adventure, Guts never made it beyond the gallows tree. The player characters will take his place in the story. What events will change, for good or ill? What outcomes are inevitable? So if you were wondering how this game will relate to the canon story of Berserk, my idea is to play through the events, but either without Berserk or other main characters being there, or you playing alongside those main characters and seeing what along the course of causality will change through your actions and, of course, the God Hand in the form of the die rolls. But if I'm being honest, I think I can do better than just starting at level 1 with Gambino's army. You find yourself in a company of mercenaries just like normal. However, this is no normal mercenary company. This is the Band of the Hawk. You may count yourself amongst their fighters or support, like a cook or blacksmith. Whatever your job and origin, you follow in the wake of one man's dream. That man is Griffith. Stay with him, survive many battles, and your station will rise with his soaring banner. Causality. How does this relate to the story already established in Kentaro Miura's Berserk manga? In this adventure, Guts doesn't accept joining the Band of the Falcon. You were able to take the vacant spot in Griffith's eye, rising to be a key member of the band. What events will change, for good or ill? What outcomes are inevitable? This adventure will start with level 3. By the way, you might be wondering, in a mostly human world, how race and lineage will come play. Well, humans are practically the only race in Berserk, at least in early chapters, but the average Chudor infantry is very different than a Makuraka assassin, and you may find that an existing race's traits better fit your particular brand of human. Even some of the more outlandish lineage options can have an explanation in Berserk's lore. But be careful, this is a harsh and often judgmental world, so your strange appearance or abilities may easily draw envy and enmity. For example, Rickert would have more in common with a rock gnome than the typical human build. Godot is clearly inspired and possibly a descendant of, or straight up, a dwarf. Griffith's pre-eclipse otherworldly grace befits a high elf. So those other options I could clearly see happening, but if you want to come in as a dragonborn, that might be too much of a stretch. But we're session zeroing all of this. I want to make characters together, so we'll talk. Now, if I get some very experienced people with a very, very much love for Berserk. Now, if I get some very experienced people who really like Berserk and want to take things a little further beyond the Band of the Hawk, well, you find yourself in the company of the Holy Iron Chain Knights. You may be among the shining nobles in their number or an unlucky captive of their crusade. Lady Farnese de Vendemion holds command, but do you listen to her? The 100-year war has ended, but strange shadows loom on the corners of the countryside. You seek the Tower of Albion for holy respite. In this adventure, Guts never became the Black Swordsman after the eclipse. A terrible plot is brewing in Albion, and the Holy Iron Chain will be caught in the maelstrom of rebirth. While no classes are forbidden, each player should bear in mind what their class looks like with respects to the setting. With the eclipse in the past, your character may have seen some unnatural things that took them beyond the realm of the typical fighter. A barbarian, fighter, monk, ranger, or rogue suits nicely and won't stand out in the world. A bard, cleric, or paladin fits in quite well with the Holy Iron Chain Knights, or even with the Band of the Hawk. A cleric may make prayers to the Holy See, and a druid may tap into the elemental magics of nature. These will be strange individuals, but also valued and watched. A sorcerer, warlock, or wizard will no doubt be labeled a heretic amongst the noble knights, that is, if you've revealed as such. Talk with your DM to establish where your arcane powers come from and how it may affect your standing at the adventure's start. And as far as the gear, I've arranged some packages for each starter, basically. So if we go on down, we see the Holy Iron Chain Knights. You are going to pick your parcel. An elite parcel comes with a warhorse, any suit of armor, and any +1 weapon. This magical weapon has been blessed by the Holy See and may be freshly dubbed for your service or an heirloom. The dandy parcel will include a warhorse, any suit of armor, and 400 gold pieces to spend as you see fit. You're here to enjoy the prestige of the position, not actually fight a battle that could threaten you. The heretic parcel, any suit of armor, a confiscated weapon or focus, manacles, and 500 for the heretic, 50 gold pieces. Your armor, weapon, or focus is a rare piece of equipment to be determined by you and the DM. You have been captured by the Holy Iron Chain Knights. If they get in a pinch, you could easily convince them to let you on a leash, provided you fight. And the support parcel. You get a riding horse, an artisan stipend of 300 gold pieces, and any one set of tools. This tool set is a blessed masterwork, receiving a +2 bonus on ability checks with it. And did I mention, we're following along with the 1D&D idea that I also use in pretty much all of my campaigns anyway, which is that at level 1 you will get a bonus feat regardless of whether or not you are a human. Now, there are some other considerations that we have to talk about in session 0. What books are allowed? Am I going to allow for Unearthed Arcana or Homebrew? What variant rules are we going to have? Well, I have some ideas there. We're going to expand on the tactical options, so anything in the DMG that talks about climbing monsters and tumbling, maybe getting some of those Battle Master maneuvers out to more people, we'll talk about more ways to have that accessible. And of course, we're going to have some way to sunder weapons and armor, because that is a plot point that comes up in Berserk a lot. We are going to use, I think, numeric exhaustion and stress and fear from Van Richten's guide. These are very likely. Something that I've never played in D&D before, but I have seen played out in Symbaroum that I really like and really think works in Berserk, is having armor as damage reduction. This will really have to be talked about to see if people are comfortable with such a fundamental change to AC and damage, but I think this kind of fundamental change will really set the world and the game apart. And we'll discuss whether we want gritty realism rests, as described in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Your inspiration points are earned for moving the story forward or developing your character, and you can spend them to alter the course of causality as you see fit. I really want to come back to this primary theme and this primary world-building element of Berserk. Everyone can give inspiration to one another. Could we see inspiration used as a luck point rather than just as advantage? I don't know. I think that would be a pretty cool idea to spice up inspiration at the table. As far as the canon story goes, what character is too main to play as a PC? I probably don't want to let one person play Guts, but I would be okay if you wanted to play Pippin and give him more of a role. Really, the whole supporting cast of the Golden Age, Pippin, Rickert, Corcus, Casca, Judo, could be a really nice party to start up with in the Golden Age. No matter what, we would play any canon characters respectfully and responsibly, and that goes for me as the DM playing in any NPCs and enemies. And of course, we're going to have to talk about content. We're going to have violence when necessary, and there's going to be a lot of violence. I won't even say there's not going to be gratuitous violence, because let's face it, that's part of the fun of Berserk. But we're not going to have, prolonged torture or big long-term injuries. At a point, it just becomes pain for pain's sake, and that's not what we're about. But awesome action and bloody combat, yeah, we're going to do some of that. SA exists in Berserk, unfortunately, and I think it's going to be hard to not refer to it, but that is one that I am hardlined on absolutely not indulging in. Any kind of sex, any kind of SA will always fade to black. And while you don't have to play a hero in Berserk, and I would even say it would be kind of a drag if everybody came in as a good, heroic D&D party character, don't be a Donovan. This is an idea that I have had a long time in the background, but I've gotten caught up on other projects and other hopes, and I just want to play more D&D, and I would like to play more D&D with some people who love the same piece of fiction that I do. And you know what? It's going to be another 3 or 4 months until another chapter comes out, so why not pay some respect to Kentaro Miura's work? Why not have a good time with a new group of people online? And why not play some awesome D&D with a guy that really knows what he's doing? Hit up the Looking for Game post or start your own Berserk D&D game today. Go for it. Why not now? Make it a Nat 21. Bye-bye.